Hi, this is Julia Widup with Talk Story TV, and today I have with me Tula. How do you pronounce her?
Tzoras.
Okay, and she is the author of a book called The Truth About Acting. And tell us more about the truth about acting, Tula.
My own experience, because when I started out, it was in the 80s. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have all the technology that we have today. So I kind of started out blindly, and from that I had quite a roller coaster ride, as well as having quite a few obstacles to overcome in terms of my health and things like that. So because of my own experience, what I did was, in The Truth About Acting, I have shared my experience along with specific examples, for instance, from TV, film, theatre, commercials, filmmaking, and giving actors and performers specific tips, as well as talking about branding, which is so important today, especially with the internet and actors being able to have their own websites, etc. Portfolios are now electronic. So I have, for instance, a chapter on step-by-step instructions on how to build your own website, everything up to industrial affairs. But it's an industry guide, but more than anything, it is a holistic spiritual book for actors and creatives and people, anyone basically who's creative and has a dream and is limited in some way. For instance, I had to overcome things like anorexia. I've had issues with, chronic issues with anxiety and chronic fatigue and things like that. And along the way, because of suffering panic attacks and things like that, I actually went into a personal growth journey, which has now spanned my entire adult life. and I've, through that I became a Reiki master, and I did inner child workshops and had therapy, lots of reading, went into, studying the Buddhist philosophy, everything you can imagine, inspirational workshops. And so in The Truth About Acting, what I've done is, through all the modalities and everything I've picked up that has worked for me and is still working for me, I share it with in my book so that it helps other people and they don't have to go through, a lifetime to discover what I've discovered.
So they can get the information without having to go through all the mistakes, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds good. And and mainly happened because you were trying to overcome anxiety.
Yes. Well, I used to have massive panic attacks. I've been hospitalized,
Oh, my.
and I had trouble breathing, and in actual fact, that's something I emphasize in my book all the way through, is to breathe slowly and deeply all the time. And how amazing is it when we take a deep breath? It's so invigorating. But yes, I had panic attacks, so I basically looked for everything that could help, and through that began a wonderful, wonderful chapter of discovery in my own life. Because as actors, we study human behavior anyway. But in this way, because I had to overcome my own challenges, it was a double whammy for me, so it was great.
And have you ever been offered a role that would be a wonderful role to play?
Which one? Like an anxiety?
Well, yeah, somebody who has chronic anxiety and how they overcame it.
Well, I think so too, but it hasn't come up for me yet. Although art does imitate life, in many of my roles I've had that happen. But the good thing about the book too is there are certain things that have really worked for me, like the 7 spiritual laws of success, for instance, and emphasizing self-referral to actors, because We go through so many thousands of auditions where people normally go for, say in the corporate arena, they might go through some career changes, but actors actually go through so many auditions all the time. And I remember as a young actor, always going in there and, being psyched out and second guessing what was going on with, what were they thinking? What was the director thinking? Did they like me? All those things. So self-referral is something I talk about in the book, and I actually advise anyone who's creative and anyone, in fact, in the general public. I mean, it's such a relief not to have to worry about what other people are thinking of you and, and to be influenced by outside
and just see yourself and know what that is.
Yeah. And, people can pick up if you're not being yourself straight away. Nobody likes that either.
No. But it's so hard when you're terrified. You don't even know who you are.
Exactly, yeah. And when it means so much to you too, I think especially with artists, our work is so personal to us and we're so vulnerable with it.
Yeah, wow. That sounds fascinating. And so where can you find the book?
The book is available actually through Balboa Press, which is a division of Hay House Publishing. You can pick it up on my website, which is tulatzoras.com, TULATZORAS.com. And if you go to the book page, there are several links because you can also pick it up at, Fish Pond, Amazon, Angus & Robertson, Barnes & Noble. And actually, there's an easier way. You can go to the Truth About Acting Facebook page, and the links are all there. And you can join us on Facebook as well, if you like.
Oh, I will. Thank you. The Truth About Acting. So it'd be facebook.com/The Truth About Acting.
I think you just go into Facebook and in the search area, just put The Truth About Acting and it comes up as a page.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty easy. It's nice. I like hearing from actors and everyone, actually.
And I guess I could count because I do this little show, although I'm not acting. I'm just asking people.
Well, yeah, it's for everyone, really. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay. Yeah,
well,
it's for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, because these are life values that can help everyone. In fact, since I wrote the book, all of a sudden I've become an expert and I've been asked to write articles. And the articles I have been asked to write have been on the importance of visualization, on why is inspiration helpful, on little tips for happiness, and my favourite topic, which is heaven or hell, and my belief that it's right here on earth and in our own heads.
Yes, for sure. I think I said to my husband just last night, let go and let God is the best thing for anybody on almost any situation.
Absolutely. That's something I say almost daily.
Yeah.
And I love the serenity prayer. Do you know that one?
Yes.
Please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's the tricky part.
Yes.
Okay, so when did you start having the panic attacks?
I actually started when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
So it started very, very early for me. Yeah, and it was incredibly frightening. Anyone who suffers from panic attacks will knows, because it almost becomes a fear of the fear itself. When you start panicking, you kind of panic. So it gets worse.
Yeah, so it just gets worse.
But I think, at the end of the day, I through my own experiences, I honestly believe that there are really only two things, and one is love and one is fear. And if you're not in fear, you're in love, and if you're not in love, you're in fear. So I think that coming from a beautiful source that we all do, which is full of love. You know, we come into the world and we're little babies and we're so soft and malleable, and, you know, we get thrown with all these conditions and beliefs and stories, and all of a sudden all the negative thoughts come into our heads, you know. And I think that as long as we know that everything that is negative and fear-based is not the truth, and go into our hearts and feel the love, I think, you know, that would make everyone happier and the world a better place.
A better place, because much of the negativity that happens in the world is, like you said, based in fear.
Yeah. And it's, you know, what's in it for me? What can I get out? You know, the whole aspect of competition and winning one over the other. Whereas I think there is a growing awareness, actually, of, you know, people coming back to community and to how can I help, which is more spirit-based, you know, and recognizing that we're all the same and having compassion for each other.
Yes. What a wonderful, beautiful message your book has.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so once again, you can find her book, The Truth About Acting, which sounds like it's not a lot about acting, it's more about life. But the truth
it's actually based on acting, because that's my experience, but it is relevant to everyone, yeah.
Yes, okay. So go to Facebook and Google, you know, search for The Truth About Acting, and you'll find Tula.
Thank you so much, Julia, for having me on the show.
Thank you for being on the show.
Have a great